Hello everyone, welcome to my channel again, and I hope you guys enjoying looking at these cases that we provide for you every week. So let's dive in to look at some regular or routine or standard MRI sequences that probably each patient has when they order brain MRI. So let's look at the individual sequences. So here we have a DWI sequence or diffusion weighted imaging, which basically here on this image we usually look for areas of restricted diffusion. What it means that is just some areas that are very bright on DWI, and then we always need to look at them with this sequence that calls ADC map. So anything that is bright on DWI should have corresponding low signal on ADC or darkness on ADC, then we call it restricted diffusion. So what it means, restricted diffusion basically is a slow movement of the water molecules due to like some sort of pathology that is going on in the brain. So it can be due to infarct, it can be due to abscess, different processes that cause restricted diffusion in the brain. We are going to look at this very important sequence that is called diffusion weighted imaging. Okay, we always need to look at it side by ADC. It's not going to be alone, so just remember that. DWI, ADC just hand in hand go together. Next one is some sort of susceptibility imaging that looks for hemorrhage or calcification. And as you see here, these areas that like globus pallidus mineralization or these choroid plexus that they are just blooming. So areas of calcification or areas of hemorrhage is going to be blooming and it's going to be dark on this susceptibility imaging. We have some other ways to just differentiate between the calcium and hemorrhage. That is just going to be in another video, but just remember that anything that is calcium or hemorrhage is going to be blooming on this SWI or susceptibility weighted imaging, which can have different types. It can be GRE, it can be SWAN, it can be SWI. I mean, there are different type of susceptibility imaging. Next one is a FLAIR, which is a very important sequence on neuro MRI. As we see here, so like basically everything is a T2 sequence that is CSF is going to be saturated out. So basically anything that is CSFE is going to be dark on this sequence. So that's the difference between FLAIR and T2. So you see that this CSF in the ventricles is going to be dark on the FLAIR imaging. Or this one, specifically in our institution, we do it with fat SAT. So you see that the fat outside in the scalp is also dark. So in this sequence, in the FLAIR or T2 FLAIR sequence, so anything that is bright is going to be abnormality. So on this sequence, we always look for abnormal brightness on the FLAIR or T2 sequence, which is basically popping out on the FLAIR more than T2. This is another like routine or standard sequence that is called T2, and the way I know this is T2 because we have like CSF that is bright in the ventricles, in the like subarachnoid spaces, and along the sulci we see that this all CSF bright sequence. So basically this is how we know this is T2, and then as I mentioned on the previous one that was fat SATA, this is not fat SATA, so you see that the scalp is bright because the fat is bright on T2. Okay, and now we have this post-contrast. If you just do the contrast or gadolinium administration, you're going to have this post-contrast sequence. So in the post-contrast sequence, we're going to see the dural venous sinuses. As you see here, these are dural venous sinuses. We make sure every single study with contrast, we make sure to look at these dural venous sinuses. These have a nice arachnoid granulation, and then you have availability to look at all the skull-base vessels or intercranial vasculature, and then look at the brain parenchyma or calvarium or soft tissues for abnormal enhancement. So basically this is a post-contrast sequence, as you guys see. And the way I know, because you see that this like enhancement in the sinonasal mucosal areas, as you see, these are just enhancing because like that's a normal appearance of the sinonasal mucosal region to have like enhancement with gadolinium. Also, I see that these all the dural venous sinus and all the vessels are also bright. So if this one doesn't have contrast, you're gonna know this is a T1 sequence. Specifically, this is T1 sequence, but it's T1 post-contrast sequence. If I want to show you just the T1 that is without contrast, is going to be this sequence. So this is T1 without contrast, and you see that the gray matter is dark and white matter is white. That's, you know, this is a T1 sequence. And so without contrast, this is the appearance of the T1 sequence. Again, gray matter gray, white matter white, and then you don't see any vessels, you don't see dural venous sinus. As you see, these are all dark. So these are basic MRI sequences. We can have like different reformats, and these are the actual sequences, but usually institutions do sagittal and coronal as well to get more information. So these are very basic sequences. I'm just going to show you in future videos some more advanced MRI sequences like perfusion or ASL. If you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe and follow me on this journey. Thank you.